Hello, my name is Rosalie Kane and I'm giving my informative speech. This is my audience.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm in there. Just
And
listen to my voice.
I will be giving my speech on elementary education as a redemptive field of communication. Okay, so human beings created religion as a way to feel safe and as a reference of morality. If we shed religion, then we can find our true selves. This is a paraphrase of a lecture that was given to me on evolution when I was a student in a public school in Connecticut. I was in high school and this was told to me, but it was not shocking because the educators of my past, starting in childhood, have been teaching me from this assumption for years, to the point that I and my peers began to view atheism as the religion of academia. Elementary education is a very important profession. These professionals teach and mold the impressionable minds of children. These same children that are being taught by elementary school teachers are the children who will be shaping the world. Logically speaking, we can conclude that elementary school teachers are the ones who change the future. So how can we use this field as a redemptive communication, as Dr. Album at Liberty University calls it, for God's glory? I am the product of the public schools of America in 3 very different states: North Carolina, California, and Connecticut. One thing that all of these school systems have in common is their policy on religion, acceptance without speaking about them. I have seen the effect that this policy has had on my peers. Countless numbers of them have turned either to atheism or just confusion. Is there any way to solve this problem? I believe elementary education is the answer. My first main point is that children's minds and thought processes are very easily molded and will continue in the ways that they are taught when they are young. 1 in 4 millennials are unaffiliated with any religious belief. I believe that this is most likely due to the lack of religious affiliation that my generation was taught. Instead of embracing any religion, we embraced none, because it was what we were led to by our educators refusing to talk about their religions or any personal beliefs of their own. So we had to adopt our own religions. And secondly, the verse Proverbs 22:6, from the more Christian viewpoint, says, "Start children off on the way that they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it." I have seen this happen in many Christian families where they are taught from the beginning that God is the truth and that the Bible is a word that they need to follow. And I've also seen it on the opposite end of the spectrum with children who are taught from atheistic homes that atheism was the only way. And I have to say that coming from my viewpoint, I believe that the Bible is definitely right on this point. Because when you teach a child in a certain way, then they will continue to believe it for the rest of their life. If Christian educators use their career as a redemptive field of communication by infusing their lessons with truth, then we can change that trend of atheism and secularism and turn it into a more open spiritual truth. It is both possible and necessary to integrate Christian values. As we explored in my last point, moral lessons are so important to teach in the classroom because it is obvious that both secular and biblical worldviews believe that children are molded in their childhood. And as we've explored, that is the truth. So my second main point is that moral teachings are both needed and valued in the classroom by both biblical and secular teachers. A famous quote from the Russian novel Crime and Punishment says that it takes something more than intelligence to act intelligently. That something that is described in this quote from the book is a moral compass. What is more terrifying than intelligence without morality? The secular education field recognizes the need and encourages their teachers to teach children good character in their classrooms. The Christian educator could easily apply their values and the truth of God into their character lessons, making a redemptive communication field that integrates God into their lessons. Research shows that character education programs can actually improve academic achievement. For one example, one 2003 study looked at more than 600 California state schools and found a correlation between the character education of a school and its academic scores. This proves that not only is it necessary, but it is actually very valued in our society to have good moral standards because it makes you do better. Mm-hmm. And my third main point is that it is both possible and necessary to integrate Christian values into the classroom. I spent an entire semester in one third grade classroom with a Christian educator who is actually my aunt, and I discovered 2 main ways to integrate Christian values into education. One way is using the fruits of the Spirit as character points for the children to follow. This is a very effective strategy in two ways. Firstly, it gives children a sounding board of sorts that they can compare their behavior to. Secondly, it leads children back to the Bible. Once they discover that the rules in their classroom are in a book called the Bible, more than one student has decided to check out the book themselves, and I know for a fact that it has led one child to Christ. Secondly, my aunt is able to use Bible stories to illustrate morality in the classroom to individual students. If a child comes up and asks for just a story to illustrate like a concept that they learned in class, I know at one point she used the story of Balaam and the donkey to illustrate like how pride can somehow lead to the fall, and that also led that child to Christ. So that's exciting. To sum up the main points I've covered today, children's thoughts are heavily influenced by their educators. Moral education is both wanted and needed in the classroom, and it is necessary and doable to incorporate them into elementary education. I hope that this presentation convinced you that it is not too hard to integrate Christian character into a public education classroom, and that it is necessary and doable. Thank you for your time. To sum up the main points I've covered today, children's thoughts are heavily influenced by their educators. Moral education is both wanted and needed in the classroom, and it is necessary and doable to incorporate them into elementary education. I hope that this presentation convinced you that it is not too hard to integrate Christian character into a public education classroom, and that it is necessary and doable. Thank you for your time.